So today is our special event. We are very fortunate to have professional speaker, professional coach, Sheryl Roush with us. And she is a distinguished Toastmaster, DTM, past district governor of Toastmasters, and accredited speaker. We'll talk about accredited speaker concept later on. She has her own coaching business, CEO of Sparkle Presentations. So I'm going to give you her professional background and what I want to accomplish through today's workshop. And everybody, friends, parents, students, and the general audience, have you had trouble in the past how to compile a powerful presentation can be communicated to different level audience? So that's just the number one objective we want to do is you can, through the careful planning and training, you can present to various levels of audience and groups. So that's number one. Another objective is this, there are always, public speaking has this fear factor. People are sweating, are nervous. So how can you boost your confidence and enhance your public speaking skills?
There we go.
Yeah.
Little issue with the slides. Okay.
Sure, that's fine. I think the whole confidence is number one, because if you have confidence, you can motivate the people, you can sell your idea, and most importantly, you can become a better leader. So public speaking and the leadership skills are kin sisters, brothers. These two go together. So be a good speaker, naturally be a good leader. So that's why I want to hone this skill set through give you this knowledge base. Now I want to, through this workshop, you'll accomplish three things. One is you can learn from our special guest, Sheryl Roush, 7 techniques or 7 communication channels to connect with different people and different audience, different listening types. Then you can gain special insight to structure, organize and deliver a good speech. Lastly, there are certain tips I'll give you. You can prepare any type of presentation, any type, even including public speaking contests. All right, so now we talk about who is Sheryl, how I know her. Last year, in Toastmasters annual international conference in Washington, D.C., I happened to sit in the lunch table with Sheryl. I was immediately attracted by her elegance and confidence. We're in the same lunch table, we talk about some hot topics, and the next day she gave a special accredited speaker presentation to over 2,000 participants and also videoed, audioed worldwide. So Sheryl is one of a kind. She has over 30 years of public speaking skills and coaching over 20 years in her professional life. She's the CEO of Sparkle Presentations, covering over 3,500 presentations to 12 countries, audiences, and cultures and people. That's why it's so fortunate to bring her skill set to the Asian community, Asian American community. We can learn the true masters, the true public speaker. She has been distinguished Toastmasters, as Moses mentioned, distinguished is highest for Toastmasters. But beyond that, she also has district governor leadership role. President of citation is very special. How many president of citation, Sheryl, in the past? It's very rare, right?
It's very rare, and typically an individual is selected from 300,000 people to receive the citation.
You can see only the highest, the best, the most prestigious one. So you just motivate us, Mo and me and Laura. We didn't work hard to get that citation. And again, accredited speaker is very, I call it platinum status. Only 14 ladies, 68, speakers have that. Very rare, highly competitive, and highly prestigious. Again, that demonstrates her leadership skills, her vision, her strong determination. And next title is the National Speakers Association. That's the Professional Speakers Association, right? People give
Yes.
speech, make a living. So that's another highly respected title with the Golden Microphone Award. So I can't believe, do you even have time to rest? And for our children, I think the next one is very inspiring, which is U.S. National Olympic Team Training Center. So in the Training San Diego facility, Sheryl provide coaching services to the Olympians so they can be a better speaker, face the media, face any audience. That's good. She also coached the professional football team, a cheerleader team. Travels exclusively, and also she has been to Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, giving speeches to a wide range of Asian community professionals and general audience. And Deepak Chopra, as you know, very highly respected leader in the soft skills and spirituality realm. So Sheryl also very active in that. Okay, I think you have a good coverage of all. We have 17 books. Today I bought a book. Seriously, I bought a book and I'm going to read that. It's a Toastmasters. What's the book name again? Toastmasters?
Heart of a Toastmaster.
Yes, Heart Toastmasters. So 17 books author and very prolific. And I'm just absorbing your contents and your knowledge just from day one. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Okay, with that, I'm going to let you lead this presentation and 7 secrets to connect with anyone. Let's give Sheryl Roush a round of applause.
First of all, and thank you very much, Mike, on behalf of Speak to Lead. Thank you for hosting this very special webinar workshop. So hello. Thank you for coming to class. Mike is handling the handouts for you, so you'll be checking your email to get those. If you don't have them in time, it's okay. You will still see what the handout page looks like on the screen. So you're okay with that. Let's go. This is page 1, the title page of the handout, and it introduces you to what we're going to be doing. So let me tell you a quick little story. This is me. Everybody look and go, oh, that's me. Yep, I was painfully shy. Can you relate to that? I was so shy, my mother took me everywhere, and I would cry when I needed to meet people. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about my story and why I believe in what we're learning today. When I was 8 years old, if that's how old you are, I first dreamed of becoming an artist. I didn't know what that would look like, but I wanted to be an artist. At age 12, I started drawing and doing hand calligraphy. So drawing letters by hand, I would remember what the different letters looked like. At age 16, I led pep rallies. That's me in high school. Yeah, I had no idea that I was going to be leading pep rallies when I was commissioner of pep in high school. 2,000 of my classmates and all the teachers in the gymnasium, and I'm up on stage. I cried for 3 days before. I couldn't eat. I was so nervous. Nod your head if you can relate to this. Yes. Oh, it was so scary. Well, then at age 16, also in high school, I started my first business. So it's important that you have self-leadership in your life and that you have a dream of what you want to accomplish. You've been blessed in this program to hear from world champions in public speaking, including Ed Tate. And they've always had a dream. My dream was to be an artist and maybe to be a teacher. And that's what started my businesses, was graphic design. In between, at high school, I've earned scholarships for good grades and for bringing a lot of school spirit to everything that I did. And I earned scholarships to put myself through college and got my degree in commercial art and graphic design. So today I've written 5 books on that topic alone. Then someone told me at a networking meeting about this thing called Toastmasters, and that's exactly what Mo was just speaking about, and it changed my life. When I was your age, I didn't have a program like what Mike is providing for you, and the coaches from Miss Mo to Mr. Nick and across the board. You are very blessed to have the people who care about you to help you with speaking and leadership. So that's part of my story. As I looked into your story, I see that you have a 12-week program. We'll be coming back to this because each of these 12 going through this list is covered or addressed and supported in this workshop webinar. That's pretty cool, huh? Right? Thumbs up. Yay. I love it. And if you're in the advanced group for 4th grade and above, we're also going to be tapping into the top 3 of these 12 on the list of your program too. You'll see how it all relates. So grab your pen, grab a blank piece of paper, get ready to take notes. If your mom or dad are printing out the handouts for this program, as soon as they have them bring them over and sit down with you, and then you can be ready to go. Are you ready for some ideas? Nod your head. You want some ideas? I'm going to show you how to make it easy. All right. Usually when we start a speech, we grab this pad of paper, right? Well, guess what? Because of the lines that are on the piece of paper, it stops our brain. We can't think. Everything about these lines says that we have to do it in order. That's not how our mind normally works. I'm going to give you some tips on how to tap into it. So first of all, we want to brainstorm our thoughts. We want to get those ideas out of our head and put them onto paper. Here's how we do it. This is page 2 inside of the handout. So when you get a copy of it, then have this out in front of you. And we're going to start with this very first top section. If not, grab a piece of paper right now. Grab a piece of paper, grab your pen. Mo, grab your piece of paper. I see you, Mike. Grab, okay. And go ahead, there you go. And then draw a circle and a whole bunch of lines coming from it. All right, everybody with us? Because we're going to come back to this and I'm going to show you how to use this and start your ideas. I call this a happy sun, by the way. It's a happy sun. So draw a happy sun anytime that you're getting ready to start writing a speech. All right, so here's how it works. Let's say that you have a topic, and we're going to be hearing from Eric today about if he had $1 million, what would he do with it? So in the middle of the circle here, he could put $1 million or money inside of it. Then he would start right about up in here and start writing on every line as quickly as you can, turning the piece of paper so you write on each line. And you keep going around the circle and going around the circle. So whatever that your topic is, this helps get it out of your head. You see, there are 2 parts to our brain. The right brain is where the creativity and ideas comes from. The left brain helps us organize it, and you need both parts of your brain to craft a great speech. Stay with me, there's more. So for instance, if you're creating a speech about a giraffe, and this one is from the San Diego Zoo Safari Park here in California, then you would put the word giraffe in the middle of that circle. And if you're going for a theme, like one of your speech requirements is, then you might talk about stretching your neck or the unique pattern. And if you look right here, can you see that heart? That's a heart. This giraffe's name is Spanky, and that's how they identify her. So you could create a speech about a giraffe. Or what about a butterfly? Just put the word butterfly in the middle of that circle, and then you write down everything that you think of as quickly as you can as you're going around that circle. Use this every time that you're getting ready to give a speech. This is the first start of it, is get it out of your head. Here's an example of something that I did. I used what I'm teaching you to do. This only took 2 minutes to do. I was speaking for a business organization, the Chamber of Commerce, for their networking meeting on speaking for business owners. I started here and I went all the way around. Out of this, it became a 48-page workbook with templates for people to use in creating their speeches. Then that also created the ideas of putting together a CD of MP3 audios just from 2 minutes of brainstorming. So if you're looking for great ways to create incredible and innovative ideas, this process, it's called mind mapping, is ideal to do it. So now that you have the big mind map for your speech, now you start doing what's called chunking, where you start putting it together. So you would take some of those ideas from that big mind map and you would put them onto a smaller one. Then you might separate those, what goes into the body of the presentation. More, it could be what stories or examples, those go on to their own mind map. And of course, the closing or the summary to the presentation. Now you have 4 different ways to use that one mind map. Now what do we do with it? We get it out of our head. This is good. We put it onto paper. Now we need to get it organized. So here's what we do. The concept is from Stephen Covey of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I took this photo in Butchart Gardens, Victoria, British Columbia, Canada one day. And using this, my original photo with his quotation, begin with the end in mind. Here's how this relates to public speaking. At the bottom of page 2 on the handout, if you don't have the handout yet, it's okay. I'll make this larger so you can write it down. Here's what it looks like. We need a format from those great ideas into structure, and here's how we easily do it. Part of the ideas will go into the opening. From that opening, there will be a grabber of how can you grab people's attention, which we learn in our classes, how to have a bang at the beginning in the 12-week program. What is the significance of it? And an overview, or it's called a signpost in training, right, Ms. Mo? Of you let us know where we're going to be going, and then you guide us there with the body of the presentation. So the body is the middle, or the content. And here, there's gotta know, that's American slang, by the way. This is a must know information. Then what's need to know, but not as important as must know. And then nice to know. This is helpful if you have too much information and not enough time. You cut out the nice to know and you keep the need to know and the must know. The closing then also has its objectives as well as a percentage of the overall time of how long that you have. The closing needs to summarize what the presentation was. The circle back, I'm going to show you that key concept. It's something that is unique that I created. It's pretty special. And then create a call to action. What do you want people to do as a result of hearing your speech? Well, here's what this means to you. Grab your pen, because the opening represents 10% of your overall time. So let's do some quick math. If we have a 5-minute speech, what is 10% of 5 minutes? Adults, help us out here. Could be 50 seconds, right? 50 seconds, is that right? So 50 seconds, or let's say if it's a 10-minute talk, then 10% is 1 minute. That's how long that we have. The body of the presentation then is longer. It's 80% of the overall time, and the closing accounts for 10%. So you have 10, 80, and 10 for organizing the structure. Nod your head. That's great, isn't it? Now you know. Oh, Mike gave us a thumbs up. Yes, thank you. All right. So then here's the next tip with that is remember the concept with bricks, the stones, of begin with the end in mind. Here's my concept, which is very different from what most speaking coaches teach. Build backwards. This is very different, and here's why. Based on what the objective is of what do you want people to do, it makes sense to begin with that, then build into the body that will support your point, and then create the opening last. This is very different. Here's why I teach this. If we start writing the opening on a yellow lined sheet of paper, by the time we get to the body, already we're off point. By the time we get to the closing, we're not even talking about the same thing that we started with. I know, I've done that too. That's why I created this formula of build backward. Here's the second part of this. When you give the speech, though, you flow forward in natural organization. Then with this special circle back, that's the third part of that. However that you're going to end, that's how you begin. So as you give the presentation, the opening ties in to the ending, and people go, oh, it's a beautiful type of format to follow. Make sense? Very different, I know. It's going to change how you craft your presentations in this program. Now that we have the brainstorming, we've got the creativity going, we understand the structure, now we need to connect with everybody who's in our audience. All right. So give you an example of this. Check out those zebras, huh? There are 7 types of listeners. So there's 5 of them here. And this is from the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Here's what this means to you and I. We're getting ready to go to page 3 inside of your handout. If you don't have it, Mike will be emailing it after this webinar. It's okay. Here's an overview. Remember how I said that you signpost, you tell them what you're going to tell them. This is it's an overview of what you're going to learn in this specific segment. Because there are 7 types of listeners, here are each of the 7. This is an overview. We'll be taking each one at a time. So you can take notes as we do each one. Ready? Here we go. Here is page 3 inside of your handout. You have permission to photocopy and use this worksheet for every speech you are creating. You may not, however, put my materials into your own speeches because I created this and it's original. That's the only caveat to using this. So use it yourself to help you, but you may not distribute it. So here's how you use this. You put your speech title, what the date is, what's the purpose of your speech, so that as you are pulling in the ideas from the mind map and you're plugging into each of the 7 types of listeners, that you make sure and you go back to what's the objective of this speech. Now I'm going to be going through each one of these fairly quickly to give you an idea so you can follow along when you get the handout on this. Here's the objective in using this. You must, because each audience, there are 7 different channels with which we listen. This is brilliant research, and I've made it very simple for us to use. With the first group, as an example, linguistic, they need words. So in learning or well, let's say learning, they need to read, write, or talk about it with others. So you would go through the middle column and grab a highlighter pen and actually highlight which one of those that would be good for this particular speech. Then you write your own ideas on the blank lines on the right. You like that? This is so easy. And here's what happens in longer programs, and especially with adults. Then I have an assessment that you take that's 28 questions, 7 columns across, and you get to find out what type of communicator are you. Here's why. If we do not connect with each of the 7 channels and we're missing one, we could lose a speech contest. We could be passed over for a promotion at work. We might miss a raise. So if we're looking for more money, it could be between parents and children that you're not connecting. It comes down to these 7 channels of listening. This is really good stuff. Now I'm going to pick it up a little bit. Here are the researchers that I studied. So if you want to write down one name and do your own research, I would select Dr. Howard Gardner, Frames of Mind. You can Google him, do a search, and there's all kinds of white papers that you can read. Fascinating. The second researcher, his colleague, is Thomas Armstrong with 7 Kinds of Smart. Great books on those as well. I focus on the 7, even though Dr. Armstrong thinks that there may be even more, what are called the multiple intelligences. When I spoke to Mensa, they referred to this as channels, and I thought, boy, that really makes it more understandable instead of modalities. All right, so let's have some fun with this. Linguistic, the very first group, they need words or semantics. So the stories, the discussions, books, brainstorming, metaphors or analogies in the 12-week program where you're talking about how to carry a main theme throughout a speech, this is exactly what's vital for that particular type of listener. You probably enjoy watching Jeopardy, that you're very good with trivia, and you're very quick with learning rhymes or foreign languages. I'm guessing that listening on the call today, that you probably speak at least 2 languages. So if you speak Chinese, do you speak Chinese, Mandarin, and plus English as a second or third language? You know, ich spreche Deutsch, sprechen Sie Deutsch bitte auch? So I speak German, I speak a little Tagalog. Let's see, good evening would be Maganda gabi po. So good evening, you know, mabuhay. And if you want to say I love you, it's mahal kita. So language falls into this particular linguistic category. Great terminology. So for instance, linguistic examples, you also love reading. So books, you love that. You love quotations. This is Mr. Marcus Buckingham. He wrote a great book I recommend your parents read. Go Put Your Strengths to Work. And inside there's a code where you go to the website for free and you get to find out what are your top 5 signature strengths. So linguistic people need to have quotations and book references. Category number 2, unlike the first channel, that the items over here were bullet points, because math needs numbers and order, facts, statistics, and details. These are not bullet points, these are numbers. So we have 1, then follow 2, 3, 4, and 5. This group of listeners must have numbers. Here's how it relates to your program. In a 12-week program, notice that each of these are numbered. That is a mathematical example. So I'm hoping that when Eric gives his speech tonight and he's talking about $1 million, that he tells us more mathematical examples. That's going to be great. I'll be listening. Mo is talking about this regarding Toastmasters International, and here we can find Hong Kong over here on the list. We also have Tokyo and Japan. And worldwide right now, we have over 345,000 members in almost 16,000 clubs in, Mo, you were very close, 142 countries. We are one big family. As they say in Hawaii, we are ohana. So there's a linguistic example tying into mathematical. Group number 3 are visual. We need to see it. Now, who is this? Who is this? Yep, Michael J. Fox. And what was the movie? Yep, Back to the Future. So if we're telling a story about Back to the Future and DeLorean cars and flying without train tracks, then we need to show the example, which are powerful in slides, both for youth as well as adults. Visual people, if you're talking numbers, you can give us charts, diagrams, maps. We need to see in color. The first 2 groups, linguistic and mathematical, black and white is okay, but not group number 3, not like me. We need to have color. You know, we need to have color. Nod your head if that's you. Yep. Do you like to see things in color? Yep. So for instance, visual people, here we go. This is from one of our interviews with Coach Mo and Mr. Mike. So there we go. That's a visual example. We need to see it. Are you fans of Spider-Man? Yay! I had the pleasure of working with Mr. Stan Lee, who is the author of all of those, and he was just a delight. So if I'm telling a story, I need to show a photo that goes with it. Or what about Live Long and Prosper, Mr. Spock? Leonard Nimoy, had the pleasure of working with him too. Visual people. So now it's different to say it than it is to show it. Most of us, over 83%, prefer to see something instead of only hearing it. It helps us with more information. Group number 4 on this list of 7 are musical and rhythmic. Do you like the cute little kitty? Yay, sitting on the piano. This listener, if you don't have music, and sometimes I do sing in programs, and I open for Marie Osmond from Dancing with the Stars. And I walked onto stage in front of 3,500 people in a huge theater, and I started singing one of her songs. It was hilarious, and she loved it. If we don't have music, then how we convey this is with our vocal variety. So in your program, there it is. Number 5 is vocal variety. Musical of an example is how we speak. Do we speak very fast or do we slow down? Do we project and speak loudly or do we speak more softly at certain times? That is a good example of musical channel in our speaking. Make sense? Yes? All right. Group number 5 is kinesthetic. We learn best by doing. Not just tell us about it, but we need to touch it. We need physical activities. So when you do the mind map, this is a very good activity for you to follow. When you are using the presentation worksheet, you will be filling in the blanks as well as yellow highlighting what would be good for your speech. All of that. We learn best by doing, so movement or touch. One way that you do it, here is Mike with you. Are these the brothers, by the way? This is you. Oh, this is you. This is you, right? Yay! Isn't it? Okay, got it. These are the brothers, right? So is this Patrick or Eric here?
No, this is my son.
Oh, they're your sons.
Chris
Oh, I'm
and Kevin,
sorry.
last year's
Okay, with Ed Tate. Okay, so kinesthetic is you actually go somewhere and you get to stand by someone. Sorry, Mike, I didn't make an assumption there. I thought that you had a field trip, you know, with Mr. World Champion of Public Speaking. Wow. So kinesthetic could also be where you bring in the senses. And in your speech, it's the sight, smell, taste, feel, any of those. You know, or if you're talking about playing baseball and you describe the smell of the leather in your glove or on the clipboard or the flowers. Kinesthetic, at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, you actually walk into an atrium where the butterflies, several, land on you all at the same time. Very kinesthetic experience. That's our 5th group. Kinesthetic is also the body language with which you use and your eye contact. Visual would go back to our group number 3 that we need to see it from you. So you can see how these relate to the program that you're in. Group number 6 is interpersonal. You are people. You like people. You love to get together with people, play sports, play games, dinner at the table with your family. I remember the first time I spoke in Hong Kong for Phillips Morris of Asia, that we sat around and I had steam pots. What an experience, where you got to choose which lobster went into the steam pot and the vegetables. And it was an interpersonal, kinesthetic, visual experience until the lobster moved and I screamed. I was the only American in this Asian restaurant. I think I embarrassed my host, so I made it linguistic as well. But they understood I wasn't expecting the lobster to move its claw. It was a fabulous experience. I remember it still today as if it was yesterday because of these channels which help us to remember. Oh, yes, there's Coach Mr. Nick. He's highly interpersonal, isn't he? And check this out. He's reading. That tells us he is also linguistic group number 1. People will let us know what type of groups that they are. We just need to pay attention. When we are speaking one-on-one, we need to speak on their channel. When we're giving a speech and to 2 or more people, we need to combine each of the 7. I'll come back and recap that for you in summary. Here's our 7th and final group. They are intra. Notice it's a different of spelling. Before it was I-N-T-E-R. This is I-N-T-R-A. Intrapersonal. Intra is self. This person enjoys self-paced information. Maybe you like to study by yourself. You're independent. And maybe meditation or visualization or sitting outside in the sun helps give you your ideas. So that's introspective. bringing that together then, though, those are the 7 channels on this worksheet, which you're getting from Mike. Mike, how are we doing on getting the handouts out? We good?
Yeah, I sent to over 20 people so far.
Okay, great.
I'm 40.
And then if they miss it and they're watching this in the recording, in the archive, then you can also email them the handout. Here's the overall to this. Speak to their needs. We need to be on the same channel. If you are watching your favorite TV show, but someone else in the house is watching a different TV show, you're not on the same channel. We need to be watching the same show or the same channel when we are speaking to them. One-on-one, we speak to their preferences. Just pay attention. We'll understand what it is that they need. In a group presentation, we need to address each of the 7, and it's easier than what you think. So for instance, when I look at this photo, and this is Mike, this is from the Speak to Lead website, I see that this person is very visual. Chances are, having a plant nearby, perhaps flowering, they're also kinesthetic. That they need to have their gadgets and gizmos here, then they're probably very linguistic as well, potentially mathematical. I also get that they are visual because of all the color and using a color pen. Here's more colors here, colors, colors, colors. So that's what I can surmise about this particular person, just by that.
I like a nail polish also.
And the nail polish, sure. Yes, there you go. And I would also say, oh, and it's an Air, which means that they are using a superior platform, Apple, like me. Okay. There you go. Stephen Covey also gives us this great tip: to seek first to understand, as in to understand other people. It almost sounds like Buddha, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So maybe it did go back into ancient Chinese history. So in this workshop, and Mike, we're getting ready to open it up for questions. So in this workshop, here is what we looked at. You discovered the 7 communication channels and how to connect with each of the listening types. You also gained insights into effective structure from brainstorming, the 3rd tip here, of doing the mind map, having fun with the happy sun, putting your word in and then walking around, putting a concept, a word or a phrase on each one of the lines. Then you learned about the opening of 10% of the overall time, the body, this is at the bottom of the page here, so that the body is 80% of the time and that the closing is 10% of the time. And we also learned about the build backward when you are creating your speech, flow forward when you are giving the speech, and circle back the ending back up to the opening. And if you notice, this is a similar slide of what the opening slide was. Here is my contact information. I would love to hear from you. And at this time, Mike, are we ready to go to questions?
Yes, we'll go through questions for a few minutes. Then we'll have Eric to give the $1 million speech.
I love it.
I love it, yeah. I really enjoy this, have end goal in mind, then backward work the contents. This really, this my takeaway, very important. So tell me one thing is, for our children, they are still very developmental stage. They may not have a full mastery of what's the simplest way for them to think about something. They can write it up or speak it up. So their brain may not be fully experiencing all this complex concept.
I think, and I thought about that in preparing this. I think this is by far the easiest thing to do.
Good.
At every age, start with the happy sun. Let me modify this slide here because it looks like, so to start with the happy sun. Mm-hmm. Oh, we can't do that. Okay, got it. Here. And then create the words. So hold on, create the concept here. I noticed that on the screen. Here we go. It was very low. There we go. This is very easy to use. Very easy to use. I learned this in creative writing classes back in college. I wish that I had learned it when I was 8 years old. All the ideas, anytime you can create products this way. You can write books using this particular format. You can use it for planning a party. In my adult program of overcoming negativity in the workplace, I have people write, do a whole bunch of these. I just only give them a blank sheet of paper. So they need to put however many lines. It's pretty fun because then they don't know what I'm doing. Then I say, okay, put your name in the middle of the circle. And so they trust me, they do. Then I say, now on each line that you wrote, you need to name one positive thing that you like about yourself. And the negative people in the room go, oh no, I put too many lines. The positive people, this is really good, by the way, parents, to do with your children. Put their name in the middle of the circle and you write down things that you love about your child. What are their qualities? What good behaviors? What do you like about them? This helps boost self-esteem. This is a powerful process. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. That's good. I'm going to use that to describe my boys. Yeah. Eric has a question, and his brother talk about using mathematics, I think one of the 7 components. So maybe give a little bit more specific. He's going to give a speech in his $1 million speech. So any example you can give him, maybe some hint. How can we use numbers?
Well, I don't know where Eric is going. Is this Eric asking the question?
Yeah.
Quick, let me take my speech. I love it. Bravo for you, Eric. Even if you were to say, what if you didn't have $1 million, but you had half of $1 million? $500,000. So we have 2 brothers. So for instance, if it's Patrick and Eric, that you give half of your $1 million, which is $500,000, to your brother. Patrick would like that. Well, there's an example. So maybe you use additional numbers with 1 million, or that you had 10 friends that you shared it with. Those are several things that you could do. Or you could say there are 3 things that if I had $1 million, here's what I would do. Number 1, I would do this. Number 2, I would do this. And number 3, I would do this. Those are simple ways. I'll share with you 2. This is a really good question. Of the 7, when I do the assessment, I am not a perfect A in taking that test. My own weakest area is mathematical. So what I need to do is, in the math category here, is that I have to find places to include numbers in my speeches, or I lose credibility. I lose 1/7 of the people listening in the audience. So I need to make sure that my speech is organized. If I say I have 3 points, those 3 must be in that order. If I am on number 3 and I forget and I remember something from number 1, I lose credibility. So something that we learn is do not go back, but keep it organized. Same if you have 5, all 5 must be in that order. You can't skip around or we lose credibility. Once I started using more numbers in my speeches, including on the slides or in my stories, I had greater connection with all of the audience, 100% of the audience, by using each of these 7. Good question. Thank you.
Great. One tip to add on, Sheryl, is I use color pencils, multiple colors, so I can match the 7 areas. Make sure
good.
My script. Oh yeah, okay. You have that.
Well, let's see. Here's green and
yeah. Great. I think we have another minute. Any other questions for our special guest before we have this model speech, and we'll have Coach Sheryl to provide real-time feedback to Eric. Any questions? Number 1, number 2, number 3. All right. So now we are going to have Eric. Eric, I'm going to unmute you.
Screen? Hold on, Mike. I don't have a screen. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And got it. Okay.
Eric, I'll make you as the center. Eric, you are okay. You are Eric, right?
Yeah.
Good. So I think you'll be. Thank you so much for your courage and bravery to give a model speech about $1 million. And we're going to relax, take a break. You're good. You're good. Don't worry about that. You don't need to look back. Nobody. You're good. So you feel comfortable, you can start. All right, we're going to start, Mr. Eric. Okay.
If I had $1 million, I would use it to create a company. One reason I would do this is so I could make more money in the future. Another reason I would do this is so I could help make the world a better place. Lastly, I would create a company if I had $1 million because it would create more jobs. Money is not the easiest thing to make, but when you have a $1 million head start, you should expect more money rolling in from all sides. The most efficient way to make money is to create a company. You would be the boss and many people would be working for you. Companies can be very successful, and if your company is successful, you could find yourself in a no need to work situation. For example, Microsoft is one of the most successful companies in the world. Its creator, Bill Gates, earns approximately $100 per second due to the companies he's made. As you can see, successful companies are great, so I would use $1 million to create a company. I would be delighted if my company I would create with $1 million helped the world. Many companies help the world, and I want mine to be like them. One company that helped the world was Apple. According to Business Insider, Apple made the use of electronics increase by over 25%. I want my company to do what Apple has done. Apple has convinced some to use electronics, making life better for them. If my company helped the world like Apple, what better use could $1 million be put to? Jobs are one thing that many people don't have. No matter how bad your company is, there will be more jobs available once you create your company. Due to struggle of lack of jobs in the world, I would love to use $1 million to open up job positions for people in need. I know that once I make my company, people will want to join, and since they are working for me, I may get benefited as well. One thing I wouldn't spend $1 million on would be on school materials. To be honest, I hate school, and if I were forced to spend $1 million for school, I would not be delighted. Although some people say that school is very important, to spend $1 million on such things as pencils and erasers is kind of obnoxious. To conclude, if I had $1 million, I would use it to create a company. Benefits of this include that I make more money in the future, help make the world a better place, and create more jobs. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Wow. It was brilliant.
Go ahead. You are evaluating Eric's speech. Do you need 30 seconds? Or you're good. You're ready to go.
No, I'm good. For me, Mike?
Good. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Eric, I loved it. I'm inspired, and I would want to work for you. Really well done. And I wanted to listen to you longer, too. For an informational speech, it was also inspirational. You have a lot of natural talent going for you. You let us know that you had 3 reasons. If I were to offer the sandwich effect here, I would offer for you, use some gestures. And I know that you were reading your script. You did smile, though. So I thought that you did great with your smiling. I would say, tell us that you have 3 reasons and show us the 3. Then when you're walking us through, so we are very clear which one's number 1, which one's number 2, and which one's number 3, that we follow you on that. And then at the end, because you did really set this up well, where you told us that there would be 3, then you ended with what the reasons were. Just bring it back together. That's the circle back. I was very inspired. I appreciated too that you brought in great examples that we each could relate to, from Microsoft with Bill Gates, and you gave great mathematical examples here with $100 per second. I thought, oh my gosh, I need to raise my fees. I was very inspired by that because you gave us those numbers. When you talked about help the world, as Apple has, that over 25% increase of using electronics, 25% is also another number. So you did really, really well with that. You referred to and almost their slogan of making life better. And it was wise of you at your young age to have 2 competitors included in your examples instead of favoring only one. I was also very impressed that you used a multisyllabic word, obnoxious. That is a good word. Look at that smile. That really well done. Did your father teach you that one? No? Okay. All right. Oh, they turn around and look. I love that. You were funny too when you talked about, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't buy school materials, and that was your use of obnoxious regarding $1 million for pencils and erasers. That was really well done. And I'm thinking, yeah, what else could we do with it if we did have school materials? Well, probably buy more computers so that we can start our own companies at age 8. I love it, Eric. You were fantastic. Well done. I'm inspired.
Wow. Eric, let me ask you one question. I'll give you 3 topics. One is a bucket list, $1 million, one a presidential speech. Why you pick this one?
Oh, well, this one stuck out to me the most. I don't know why, but I knew I would choose it from the start.
Okay, that's good.
I didn't really understand what bucket list meant.
Oh, I see. All right, Sheryl, can you explain bucket list to our students?
Bucket list, as I have learned it, is the dreams that you have, what someday you hope to do. That would go into, say, a bucket, of ideas that you would put those ideas into that bucket. As adults, we have a figurative bucket, not actually a bucket, but we may have a list. So we may actually have a list, and we go through of what are the things that we want to do in our life. On my bucket list is to go snorkeling in the reefs in Belize, which is in Central America. So that's on my bucket list of things that I want to do. Not on my list, bungee jumping off a tall bridge. Not on my list. So that's a bucket list, is a place where we put our dreams, things that we want to do someday.
Great. All right, that's awesome. We have a model speaker evaluation, and you are so excited. I have students, parents, and any questions for our distinguished speaker, Sheryl Roush. Anything you want to ask her? Because after that, we'll go back to our classroom. Coach Mo will lead the class regarding our public speaking foundational skills. Mo, what's this topic for this week? I encourage people to continue.
This week we are performing our informative speeches, and Eric did such a phenomenal job with citation, citing sources properly. So he definitely did that with Apple, but Microsoft was missing a citation. But I appreciate that he used the magazine Business Insider.
Good. So all parents, students, you're welcome to continue the class. Mo will lead the classroom materials. I think we already passed an hour. Sheryl, I'm so happy to have you. It's just an informative presentation.
Thank you.
And takeaways. And we, parents, if you have a big public speaking engagement in your company training, feel free to reach out to Sheryl, because she's one of the best speakers we can have. And I really happy to have this session, continue to help us grow. All right, let's give another round of applause to Sheryl Roush.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, enjoy the West Coast. We have, and the people have enjoyed the spring break. All right, thank you, Sheryl. Mo, okay, Mo, I'm going to give you the host so you can lead up, okay?
Okay. Excellent, excellent. It's good to have everyone back. Sheryl did such an outstanding job. So good to see her again. That's my buddy right there.